Hello everyone and welcome to another video. If you're new to the channel, hello, I'm Emma. I'm an illustrator based in Sheffield and these are my daily-ish vlogs. So as you saw earlier, I was working in a cafe, which is one of my favourite places to work. If you work from home especially, it can get very lonely and sorry, I thought I had pastel crayon on my head. It can get very lonely, and going to work in a cafe is one way to kind of surround yourself with life, do you know what I mean? It's also good because you can go to the charity shops on the way home, if you have charity shops on your way home. I do. And get yourself 2 more ships in bottles like I got the other day. I think I'm becoming a little bit addicted to ships in bottles, and I still want to know how they get the ship in a bottle. I'm sure at some point I've known. I think it might have been like some kind of Blue Peter revelation TV programme showing you, but anyway, I've forgotten. I've got a vague hint it involves strings. If you know how they get ships in bottles, let me know, send me some links. I want to find out. I want to even maybe try it myself. But anyway, so I've got a couple more of those. But yeah, I was working in a cafe. I was working... Well, first of all, I was doing some sketching of some of the people that were in there. There was a lovely dog in there, so it's really nice to be able to sketch in cafes as well. So it's not just about immersing yourself in life, it's about having something other than the ordinary that is around you every day at home. So I was sketching, but also I was working on my iPad. So I've been trying to work up an illustration I've been doing on my iPad. It's something that I started in real life and, like, you know, in my sketchbooks. And sorry, casting strange light. My glasses make me look like I have a monobrow. I don't. Sorry, distracted. So I've been working up something that I started in my sketchbooks, and I'm thinking about using it as an entry into the World Illustration Awards, because I think it's got legs. I think it's got potential to be... It already is a beautiful image, I really love it. But I think if I try and work it into something a bit more on my iPad, I've got the vibrancy of the colours on my iPad, and I've also got the ability to like delete stuff and yeah, just play around with it a bit more. In the sketchbook, I'm a bit fixed, but saying that, I do feel like I've stared at a screen for too long today and my eyes feel a little bit like they've been super glued down. I feel like all the vibrancy in my body has gone because I've been staring at screens all day. So maybe tomorrow I need to get my big sketchbook out and do some big scribbly ideas for this project, because I think I'm getting too concerned with the little nitty-gritty detail, which is, that's always something that tightens my work up and doesn't make it feel loose and expressive. So the more I focus on the detail and get caught up on the detail, the more life gets sucked out of my illustrations. And I think it probably just comes from working on a screen this big, because even though you can zoom in to get, I don't know, it doesn't let you do this like a big sketchbook does. So maybe I need to go back to my big sketchbook, even if it's just to generate ideas that I can then translate back onto my iPad. But yeah, that's a tomorrow. That is a tomorrow job. But while we're here, because it's, as you can probably tell, the light is too awful for me to get my sketchbook out. But while we're here, I thought I would answer, it's not answering a question that was asked in the YouTube comments, but it was a comment that was left in the YouTube comments, and I think it's worth discussing further. So let me find that, and we're gonna do that. So in a handy way, the thing that was commented in the YouTube comments was all about the digital aspect of illustration. So it's from Angela Wacky 2716. Angela commented on the video where I was talking about my submission for my very first submission to the publisher Rocketbird Books, who had an open submission day. So I managed to get my first submission to a publisher in, which was very exciting. So Angela says, I'm very excited for you. Looks like you submitted everything properly, but most of all had fun doing it. I did. My problem is lack of technical knowledge. I shy away from computer programs, digital art, even though I'm a retired graphic artist. I mean, technology moves so fast, doesn't it? So I can completely feel you on that one. I use specific software for my job and I'm unfamiliar with current drawing, painting, formatting programs. My granddaughter does it with ease. Don't they all? Kids, man. Kids know. I think I'll ask for her help. Good idea. That is a really good idea. If there's someone who is in your family or close by, a friend who knows how to use it, often just having a little play around with their supervision, so you know you're not going to press anything that's going to, I don't know, delete everything on your computer, is a really good way to get to start. Angela says, I have a story ready to go, but I need to thumbnail illustrate it. I want to self-publish. Maybe you can develop a short course on self-publishing for us delicious old folk. Thanks for all of your daily inspiration. Well, first of all, you're very welcome. And secondly, something I want you to mention in that is, just because I found it easier to do digital thumbnailing for my story, where for my open submission story, it doesn't mean that's the only way. As far as I've been able to gather from the courses that I've done this year, publishers and agents don't care whether you work digitally or whether you work in paints and pastels and crayons or whatever. As long as you feel comfortable doing your best work, then that's all that matters. That's all they care about, really. You can still submit all of your illustrations through the post, or you can drop things off in person. So if you're out there, not just Angela, you as well, if you're out there and you think exactly the same thing, like, I can't do computers, but I need to get my thumbnails sorted, do it with pen and ink. It's completely fine. People still accept analog, like postal applications for things. So do your work how you feel comfortable. Don't feel swayed by like outside pressure to do it a certain way. The only reason I did mine digitally is because it was quicker for me and I could work on the sofa, which was ideal. So I could take them and work in different places. I could work in the cafe and it felt less like chore, less like I was shackled to my desk. But there's no reason that, you have to do that. That was completely my decision. You work how you feel most comfortable, and that's the most important thing. Also, if you do work analog, so in paper and pen, but you want to apply for something and they only accept submissions via email, you can always take a photograph of use your phone camera and take a photograph of your paper with your thumbnails on. As long as it's clear and they can read it and they can like zoom in and have a little look, that's all they need. All they need is to be able to see it clearly. So make sure your thumb isn't in the way of the photo. Get rid of all of the background. Try and lay it on a neutral surface like a white desk or something that's neutral in the background. So if you do get any of the background in, it's not distracting. And you can always submit things that way. You don't need a fancy scanner and all the technical knowledge to be able to do that. Photographs, good lighting and a clear background is often all you need if you really want to work analog, which I love working analog, by the way. Like I say, I'm probably going to have to go back to analog for this idea just to help me get my ideas out. It's just one of the ways that I work. So yeah, remember there is always that, and sometimes the simple ways to overcome problems like that are the best. So photographing things is a really good way of getting around. If it was your final artwork, I wouldn't photograph it because a lot can be lost. So as far as I can gather, if you were with a publisher and they wanted your final artwork and you did it all paints and pens and things in an analogue way, then you could just send your work to them and they can scan it for you. You don't even have to scan things at home. So don't be worried if you can't master technological things. You don't need to do that. One thing he said was you want to self-publish, you're interested in self-publishing. I self-published my first book. I've got a real soft spot for self-publishing. The thing to remember with self-publishing is you've got to market it as well. When you approach traditional publishers, they have a marketing team and they deal with sales and marketing and approaching bookshops. I already had my own small business, which was a platform where I already felt comfortable selling things that I made. So I treated my book in the same way. It was a product, it was something that I made. So I sold it on that platform. So I already had a platform there to sell. So that's something to bear in mind if you're going to be self-publishing. Another tip, a big tip to bear in mind is buy your own ISBN. And this goes for anyone who wants to self-publish. So there are lots of companies out there. So Amazon, it used to be called Amazon KDP. Is it still? I'm not sure. But they've got like a little self-publishing outfit with them. And they used to offer, I don't know if they still do, free ISBNs with their service. And there are other people out there who offer the same thing, free ISBNs. Basically don't accept it because that ISBN will be registered in their name. And unless you get your own ISBN and register it to you, the ISBNs, the free ones that you get, will be registered in their name, which means that they own your book. So always buy your own ISBN. In the UK, you buy them from a company called Nielsen. I'm not sure what it's like. I'm not sure where you buy them from other places in the world, but a quick internet search, you'll be able to find where you buy your ISBNs. But Nielsen is the place to get them in the UK, if you're UK based. And if you're finding that you can't find where to buy them from an internet search, it might be worth going to Nielsen's website and they might have the information there which tells you for your own country where you can also buy kind of your own legit ISBNs. So Angela and anyone else who's interested, you might want to know what software I use to illustrate my stuff. So I used to use Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop, but I found it clunky. Unless you've got a drawing pad like a Wacom or a Huion, I think they're called, which is like a drawing pad that syncs up to your computer so you can use it with Photoshop. It can be a bit clunky and I didn't like the feel of it. And also Photoshop's dead expensive. Well, it's all relative. If you can afford it, it's not expensive, but for me it was too expensive. And it's like a monthly charge. And I think I was paying like £40 a month, which, I mean, it's £40 a month I could have done without paying. There is an alternative called Affinity. I use Affinity now. It's a one-off payment. I'm not sponsored, but they do offers every now and then. I got mine with like I think it was like a certain percentage off. Might have even been 50% off. Anyway, have a look at Affinity and see if they've got any offers on. Basically with Affinity, it's practically the same as Photoshop, but it's a one-off payment and then that's it. You can just keep using it. But again, I don't use that to illustrate anymore because I found the working on it with like my mouse or with a tablet, I found it quite clunky. What I wanted was something where I could draw on the screen like it was paper. So I invested in an iPad. They're not the cheapest things in the world, I know, but it's been really invaluable to my work. You can get reconditioned ones and they are fabulous. I've heard of people who got reconditioned ones. I got a new one because I couldn't find any reconditioned ones of the spec that I wanted, but reconditioned iPads is definitely a way forward. Helen Stevens got a reconditioned iPad and she's illustrated one of her books recently on her reconditioned iPad. So just because they're secondhand doesn't mean that they're not they're not going to be good for you. So my iPad, the spec is, it's a 12.9 inch 4th generation iPad Pro. I'm not saying that's the best out there. I'm not saying that's the worst out there. I'm just letting you know for transparency what I use. This is the iPad that I use. So it's an iPad Pro 4th generation 12.9 inch one, and it was the bigger of the options that I got. And the great thing about it is that it's got a pen and you can use it just like a pad of paper. It's really user-friendly in that respect. So the app that I use to illustrate is Procreate. Procreate is a paid app, but it's a one-off payment. So with Procreate, this isn't going to be a tutorial, I'm just going to show you. You got your Apple Pen, you can change your brushes to like different things. So they're the ones I'm using at the moment. So I've got some pastel, oh, it's not focusing. So I've got like a pastel effect. I've got, you know, you can get all sorts. So there's like ones that look like inks, make them bigger. You can change your colour there. You can change the setting from CMYK setting, so a print setting, or RGB setting, which is the computer setting. It's in the respect that you're drawing, and it's drawing where your pen is, like you do when you're drawing on paper. It's so user-friendly in that respect. So I can highly recommend it. Again, I'm not sponsored. It'd be nice. It'd be nice if Procreate sponsored me, but I'm not sponsored. But I thought you might be interested if you are wanting to explore digital stuff and you wanted something user-friendly. I find the Apple iPad with Procreate really user-friendly, and that's how I illustrate. And it's not particularly complicated, but everything has a learning curve. So it wasn't complicated for me, but maybe that's because I'm more comfortable with computers. But if you've been a graphic designer and you've been used to dealing with software, even if it is a different software, I'm sure you'll pick it up in no time. I'm sure you will. But yeah, definitely get your, is it your granddaughter? Yeah, definitely get your granddaughter to help. I think that's a really good idea. And lastly, you mentioned, you said maybe develop a short course on self-publishing for us old folks. Well, I haven't got a course on self-publishing yet, but what I do have, and this is no obligation, you don't have to do it, over on my Patreon, I do have a tier which is called the VIP tier, and VIP stands for Very Interested in Publishing. And on there, that's where I put any information that I get about the process of self-publishing. So I do talk a little bit about some of the things you need to learn for self-publishing. So the ISBN thing was one of them. You had that for free. I've got some other things about, I think I've done formatting, font to look for. And whenever I think of something else, or I find something else out, either about traditional publishing or self-publishing, I film it and put it up there. Bear in mind, the rewards on that tier aren't updated monthly like the other ones. So every now and then, when I find out some new piece of information, I'll make a video and I'll put it up in my VIP, Very Interested in Publishing tier, just for them to access. And I've just separated it out like that because the rest of the rewards on my Patreon are very like drawing and creativity orientated. And I didn't want to bore the people who weren't interested in self-publishing with giving them a load of self-publishing knowledge. So it's a separate tier. On that tier, you'll also get all of the access to the drawing stuff as well. So you'll get absolutely everything on the VIP tier. It's £5 a month. And bear in mind, I don't update that one monthly, but you do get access to all of the other stuff on the other tiers, which is monthly. So if you want to dip into that, you can sign up to that tier and you can dip into it, access all of the information, and then you can cancel after 1 month or go down onto the £1 tier where you get access to the drawing club, you get access to my sketchbook tours, the monthly downloads, the newsletters, the blog posts and more. So yeah, you access that for 1 month, the VIP one for 1 month, get the information you need, then go back onto another tier or just follow me for free on there. You don't need to stay a member every month for to get all of the information, because like I said, I don't update that monthly, but that could be an option for you. So if you want some information on publishing, the VIP tier might be the one for you. And remember, you don't have to stay a member on that tier forever. You can just dip in for 1 month and cancel your membership, and you'll have you'll have access to all the information of that tier while you're in that tier. So if you dip in and you find that you don't want to stay for another month on that tier, you can go onto the regular tiers, which is the £1 tier, and that's fine. And even on the £1 tier, or if you follow me for free, you'll be able to see when new information's been added to that tier, to the VIP, very interested in publishing tier, because it'll get put up in my Patreon feed, so you can keep checking that every now and then. And you'll be able to see that there's a post, but you won't be able to access it until you're in that tier. So, but like I say, no obligation for that at all. But anyone who is interested in any parts of my Patreon, so not just the VIP tier, they're very interested in publishing, but I've also got Pencil Case Pals and Double the Love, which is basically the same as Pencil Case Pals, but you love me more. So on the Pencil Case Pals, like I say, you get monthly invites to a live Zoom session where we draw together. It's part of the Scribbles Aloud Drawing Club. When you join in, when you sign up to our Patreon, you are instantly a member of the Scribbles Aloud Drawing Club. And on that, we meet every month on Zoom live. You get instant access to all of the recordings of all of our previous Scribbles Aloud Drawing Club sessions. You get monthly sketchbooks, instant access to all, monthly sketchbook tours, sorry, instant access to all of the previous sketchbook tours. You get all monthly downloads, all the instant access to all of the previous monthly downloads and more. I do like little newsletters and blogs and videos and stuff every now and then as well. So that's for the £1 tier as well. So I've forgotten my train of thought. But anyway, if you're interested in that, you can head along to patreon.com/Emma Woodthorpe, that's me, and have a look. No obligation. And remember, Patreon is really flexible. So if you want to try it for 1 month, you can, and then you can cancel your membership. And then because of the way that my rewards work as well, because I record all of the sessions and you'll have instant access to all of the recorded sessions. If you dipped out of the membership and then decided to come back into the membership, you would have instant access to all of the recordings of the stuff that you missed, everything that was done in your absence. You'll still have instant access when you dip back in, if that makes sense. But yes, that is completely no obligation. Don't feel like you have to. But yeah, I did think about maybe doing a Skillshare course all about self-publishing, but it's such a massive subject that it got a bit daunting. I did start planning this class on self-publishing, but there was so much information. It was becoming like it's becoming a full-time job to write it all down, because there's quite a lot to learn. And I couldn't get my thoughts organised well enough. But maybe I need to do that, maybe. But I thought that the Patreon tier was kind of nice in between. So when I remember new information, when I remember information about self-publishing, or if I learn new information about like traditional publishing or even self-publishing, it is something that I'll do. So I'll add it onto there. So it feels less daunting adding it piecemeal and every now and then, rather than trying to make a whole class, which was a little bit much. But anyway, I'm going to leave this video here because I feel like I'm rambling. Tomorrow, hopefully, I'll get my big sketchbook out and we'll do some sketching and illustrating and try and generate some ideas for this project, or something new, completely new. You never know. That's the joy of getting a sketchbook out. You don't know what characters are going to pop up. So exciting. So I will catch you in that video. So until then, bye.